Hi, everybody. Welcome to this video about the full moon in Sagittarius happening here in June of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas in Pioneer, California.
This particular moon we are calling Avoid Delusion, Head for Intellectual Solid Ground. The reasons for that might be obvious. It's a full moon in Sagittarius. A full moon is always moon opposite sun. This particular moon involves a square to Neptune, which does tend to cast a fog over the proceedings, but there's a lovely trine and sextile involving Saturn, which brings a big grounding effect. So Julia, I know you're really fond of saying that full moons are relational in their nature. How do you think that concept applies to this particular full moon in Sagittarius?
Yeah, the Sagittarius is part of an axis that it shares with Gemini. And both of these signs have a lot to do with information and learning. And, Gemini is the sign of Mercury. It represents sort of our rational, analytical, associative type of mind. And Sagittarius is our more philosophical and perhaps even spiritual, metaphysical type of mind as well. So this could be, both signs can have to deal with communication too in different ways, learning in different ways. So with whichever relationships you have in your life, where those are being very highlighted, if you're going to school, if you enjoy kind of intellectual conversations, those are the ones that could be affected.
So there's a dichotomy here just in the full moon between what I like to call the small voice, which is Gemini, the kitchen table voice, the voice that converses, that lobs that tennis ball of an idea across the net into the other person's court, sees to it that it lands, and then when the volley is returned, is ready to return it again. And so Gemini is very conversational, and not all Geminis are as good at listening as they should be, but it is there, it's supposed to be part of the sign. And Sagittarius, though, is the big voice, the broadcasting voice. It's much more shouty, it's much more salesy. And you know that you're talking to somebody with an emphasis on Sagittarius when you meet them at a party and they talk so loudly that you feel like you're being lectured at or sold to, and you almost want to take a step back and just give them a little bit more space. So this whole dichotomy of the big voice versus the small voice, and both voices are good, they just belong in different circumstances. The big voice is better when delivered from the podium, filling the whole space with one's inspiration and energy. And the small voice is better used, in journals, in books. It's more conversational. And then we have Neptune, which is just kind of throwing a foggy monkey wrench into the works, if you will. Neptune's presence here brings a cloud of confusion and mystery, because Neptune is the dreamer and artist and visionary. It's much more oceanic in its nature, and much more intuitive, because it's a water planet placed in its own sign. And so Neptune is really, really strong. And I would say that these conversations that can happen under this full moon might be prone to mystery, confusion, or even delusion, or like where somebody is out and out trying to fool you, trying to confuse you, trying to sell you something that's not real or not true. Julia, what do you think about Neptune's involvement with this moon?
Yeah, the cautions and or a better word is the awareness we can bring into this are some of the challenges of Neptune. Again, Neptune can muddy the conversational waters. Neptune can be a little deceptive in conversation as well, and all those things you mentioned. But even a hard aspect can unlock some higher manifestations too. And Saturn in Aquarius is very rational, and it's its easy aspects to information-oriented signs are very sort of logical in a lot of ways. That Neptune square could potentially add some compassion to the conversation, some intuition to the conversation, some sort of reading nonverbal cues from somebody else, you know, when you can just kind of tell what someone's saying, even if they speak a different language, because you're reading all those nonverbal communications. That can also be Neptune in there as well. And Neptune is super strong in Pisces. So that could be one potential constructive use of this full moon.
Yeah, I would say that people, the people out there, the viewers out there, those of you who feel that you're an empath, that you're like maybe a highly sensitive person, that you have difficulty with your boundaries, especially that you tend to absorb other people's emotions or emotional states, and maybe you have a bad habit of like shaping and molding yourself to what you perceive other people want of you. This could be a moon where that really, you know, is a problem, is where that tendency that you might have to be a chameleon is exploited by other people in conversations. But we have a lot of help from Saturn. Saturn forms a harmonious sextile to the moon and a harmonious trine to the sun, thus helping these two to mediate their conflict. Saturn brings a grounding influence. Saturn in Aquarius particularly brings a rational influence too. And traditionally, Saturn rules Aquarius. So Saturn rules Capricorn in the modern system, and Uranus rules Aquarius. But Saturn remembers its traditional rulership of Aquarius and is pretty happy to be there. Julia, what do you think about the involvement of this Saturn?
Saturn, you know, in the scientific sign of Aquarius, and Gemini is also a bit scientific as well, has a wonderful BS detector. So I think of it. So if you're having conversations with people, even if you're a little confused and a little bit not quite sure, or there's some fogginess, you know, if your BS detector is kind of going off, then I think Saturn is giving you a little bit of strength and kind of in sort of picking through illusions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a really good moon for paying attention to that BS detector and asking yourself, you know, is this person responding to the need for logic with instead trying to persuade you of something that's really big and really vague and maybe expressly irrational, that introducing logic into the situation and making the conversation be grounded in logic should pretty much blow away Neptune's fog of confusion. Well, I think that's all the stuff that we have to tell you about this. Obviously, this is a good one for avoiding the delusion by heading for intellectual solid ground, which is why we named it this. And you can find this video on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, in the June 2022 news playlist. You can also find it on our monthly forecast page at our website, pandoraastrology.com. And if anything interesting that you learned in this moon video makes you want a reading, you can check out the readings tab on our website. And we also teach classes. You can find those on our website too. Until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye.